Hi everyone, thanks for joining us for a round of Scottish Gin. In our latest feature we are chatting with Iain from Lundin Distilling. He makes Gorse and Ripple gins and he's been very supportive of us from the start, so a pleasure to have him.
Yeah, we can only say thanks to Iain for taking the time out on a Friday night just to have a chat, even under the circumstances. But we're looking forward to seeing what Iain's got to say about Lundin Distilling and take us through some of his products and his own gin journey. So we'll now cut across to Iain, and he should be joining us for a chat.
I am. Hi, Martin.
Hello.
Both good?
Yeah, we're both fine.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, I know.
Cheers, Iain.
You quite rightly said the Negroni for this, so I've joined you. Good call.
Well, yeah, I always, if you were on a desert island or something like that and you had to take one sort of booze with you, it'd be a bit of a, like gin-related booze. I'd probably still end up taking pints of beer or something like that. Really stuck in a desert.
If you can only pick one, you can only take one.
Well, yeah, but it'd be a bit of a toss-up between a Negroni and a gin and tonic, As gin-related stuff goes. Yeah. But I'd probably go with a Negroni, I guess, just because it's a little bit... The flavours in it are a bit more complex, They're a bit to it. It's like a double IPA instead of an IPA.
Yeah, it's a very grown-up drink, isn't it? That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And it's it's like we said, it's kind of like Turbo Shandy in the gin world.
Yeah. I think it's a cocktail that a lot of people can get wrong, though.
Yeah. Well, I always tone down the Campari just a little bit.
Same.
So maybe if you're making a classic 1 to 1 to 1, I would probably make it a 1 to 1 to 3/4 Campari.
Yeah.
Just to take the edge off a little bit. That's probably sacrilege to some purists, But the vermouth's important as well.
Yeah.
Stuff I like the Carpano Antica stuff.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
It's got more vanilla. It sort of cuts through the bitterness of the Campari really well. So
yeah,
I would always, those are the important points.
And the thing is as well, Iain, is you should have cocktails how you enjoy them.
Yeah, like you say, there's the purists out there, and there's the guys who would say it's sacrilege to change the ratios and stuff. But I don't know. I'm the same. I've played about and found my own kind of balance, So I think there's different ways of doing it.
It's like that with all cocktails. Yeah, it's a bit like that even with making gin. If you were trying to make gin that pleased everybody, you'd come up with some big horrible mess. You've sort of got to trust your own judgment and hope that some other people are going to get on board with it, is kind of thing. But you can't please everybody all the time.
No. Did you see the Stanley? Is it the Stanley Tucci Negroni thing? Yeah. Everyone's going wild about that because he shook it over ice. I just that's hilarious.
But if you're doing it at home, like we just said, you just do things your own way, do you?
Yeah.
I was drinking a couple in the garden, and it wasn't even as good as that. I was literally pouring it on top of ice in a glass.
Well, that's the way, is it the Gaz Reagan guy? That's what he always said. Their finger does the job, So.
What? Yeah, exactly. You don't need any smart bar tools to make good cocktails or good drinks, So.
No, absolutely. So, what's happening with family and business right now with all that's going on?
Good. I mean, we're sort of. Obviously, we're good. We've got 3 kids here, sort of thing. So there's a bit of the homeschooling thing that's kind of a little bit out the window. The last 2 weeks, it's terrible, isn't it? What were the kids off for? Lockdown for a couple of weeks, so we did homeschooling, and then everyone was desperate for the Easter holidays to come off, so you didn't have to bloody bother anymore. That's a shocking.
No, I think you're probably in a rather large group of similar parents there.
Yeah, so doing that. What else? Home haircutting, it's all good. Grown a mullet, it's phenomenal.
It doesn't look like it. You've definitely had a recent...
Look at the back.
Oh, okay. You could just say you were going for a, what you call it? I mean,
it's a lost opportunity if you can't grow a mullet in lockdown, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The rest of the time, I think everyone should do it. You should do it now. You get on board.
It might get to that. Watch these Facebook lives in 4 or 5 weeks, and it might get to that. But and business is. I mean, are you still able to go to the distillery on your own and do bits and bobs?
Yeah, we can. I mean, this is the slight benefit that we have because we're not big yet, and this year we've done a lot more, so we've sort of focused more on marketing and things like that. So our social and whatnot looks better, and we were definitely planning on probably trying to take people on this year, and in some ways. We're fortunate that we've not done that. We don't have to worry about putting, other guys losing their jobs or anything like that. It's just me and Roxanne that work in the business. Rox works another job and stuff like that. So it's not the end of the world. I mean, the business is definitely has taken a hit and will probably take a hit, but at the same time, it's changing the way that we're looking at doing things as well.
Yeah.
So as we'll maybe talk about is that we are already focusing harder on the online stuff and doing some local stuff. So it will be hard, but I think unfortunately by our size, it will probably get through it and still be here, subject to sort of cash flow. It's at the end of it all when things ostensibly get back to normal as to whether there's a market for it, whether the audience is still there,
Yeah. I
think 12, 18 months is when we'll really see.
Yeah. I think gin's going to be around for a very, very long time. We've spoken about it to other gin makers, and you're getting some of the real big guys now that traditionally have been making whiskey for, generations are now creating their own gins. And these kind of businesses aren't developing a gin if there's not a market out there for it, and that alone kind of gives a bit of insight and I guess a bit of positivity for the future,
Definitely.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, despite things that even if things do get difficult, the bottom kind of line is that it's still just a business, and a gin business at that. It's not like we're providing sort of frontline essential services or anything like that. There's a whole bunch of guys just now who are having a much harder time. People are losing their lives, people are losing family members.
Yeah.
So you do have to place everything in a bit of context, I guess. Sort of be grateful for kind of the things that we do have. In fact, family are about and they're well, and
exactly.
Things like that as well. And it's in some ways that it feels like everything, as we talked about, Martin, just earlier, is that it does feel like society's taking a bit of a breather.
Yeah.
Now, and as the pace of life is slowing down a little bit, it's maybe giving everyone a chance to kind of figure out what's...
Reflect and,
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Certainly, when I started this club, I get anxious about stuff and my mood can go a bit up and down. And I thought, I'll be in terrible shape at the back of this. And the reality is, it's maybe the opposite is true to an extent, just because it feels like collectively we're all in this.
Yeah.
That there's not much you can do about it. So, business is going to take a hit. I don't have to have sleepless nights about business taking hits. It's going to be part and parcel,
I think everybody, regardless of what career you do or what industry you're in, I think everybody in one way or another has been affected by what's going on at the moment, and I think all we can do is just play our part and stay at home and try and support those people that are out there putting their lives on the line, that are working in the NHS, but not just that, all the fantastic people that work in the supermarkets, delivery guys, your local postman, food producers, all these farmers that are still producing food. There are so many different people out there that I guess society maybe takes for granted, and right now they're the people that are holding the country together almost.
And as you say, it provides an opportunity to put your own, circumstances into perspective and realise that actually, we're okay. And then you say the stuff that you might panic about in the normal times, you're kind of like, well, whatever, because everyone is going through it, and in fact, there are people a lot worse off. So before we go too off track. No, not at all. No, I'm thinking, for anyone out there and we can see the comments are flooding in, by the way, lots of fans of course, gin. Everyone's saying, love their gin, and, amazing in a Negroni, etc. You'll see all that on the comments after.
Ian Craig says someone's got a good quarantine barber.
Yeah, exactly, totally, Tell me doing here. Put the clippers on big sticks.
But no, for those that don't know about your products and in fact your business, tell us a little bit, like a brief bio of like the business.
About Lundin Distilling.
So we start. So it's pretty. I mean, it's not anything massively wild to tell, but we set the company up in 2015. 2016, we went through the process of getting our licenses and stuff like that, and brought the still over, and then started production 2017. I mean, I guess we were sort of somewhere in the middle of that middle wave of small producers that were coming into the kind of scene a little bit. So I guess me, like a lot of people, when you discuss with other distillers and whatnot, when you saw Hendricks and Botanist and Karun and these guys, it's for people who love gin anyway, it started that whole thing. Oh, look, this looks almost achievable now. Mm-hmm. And then you had maybe the little sort of that first second wave, we had Eden Mill maybe and Big Martin at Dunnet Bay and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You did think, well, shit, this is maybe something that if you're passionate enough about, we can get involved and do it. And we were sort of in that chunk of small guys that clearly were thinking along the same kind of timescales.
Yeah.
Came out where you had that real diversity suddenly into the gin.
Yeah. When you look at 2017, interestingly, you're right. I mean, there's so few guys from 99 to like 2016, 17.
Oh, 2009, it was Karun, was it?
Yeah, I suppose it was Hendricks 99 then. It wasn't till, but yeah, there were
in terms of Scottish gin.
I mean, 2017 is actually
early
for the new wave of small craft producers, as you say,
Yeah, and so we came on to do that, and it's not saying, we want to do something better. It's just going, well, there can be diversity in this, in the same way there's diversity in craft beer. I'm a fairly big beer drinker as well. This is bad. You can tell why we get in the booze trade, right? There was a load of diversity and a lot of good craft sort of beer about, and there was a space for that to happen, so we were really trying not to do something wildly different, but the ethos was on quality, relatively low impact, and I thought it would be a chance to do something fairly local within Fife and then sort of grow organically out of that. And that sort of ethos is still at the heart of the business, but the realisation that we have, and I guess a lot of other small producers go, is that the drinks business generally is a pretty volume-driven game, and it is hard to make like a really successful business on the back of doing these things on pretty small scale.
Yeah.
As you guys were talking about sort of a few months ago, is the cost that goes in, the hidden costs in bottles when you're buying at the scale that we buy. There's quite a lot there.
Yeah.
So, we don't want to be selling loads of bottles that would sort of ruin the identity of the business of what we're really trying to do. But at the same time, we've got to sell. There's a chunk you need to sell in order to have a business.
You still need to make a living to keep the business going, do you?
Yeah, and that's why you do need diversity, which is why you think about different product ranges and bringing out sort of new spirits and things like that.
Yeah.
Yes. That's kind of the stage we're at in the business just now.
And can you tell us a bit about your still, Iain? I believe it's quite a special still.
Yeah, we've got a cool still. Well, I think it's a cool still, We had a look around like everyone does at loads of stills, and there's some amazing stills out there. If I had a couple $100,000 to drop on a big Carl still, I would have done it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And so we did the sort of looking at Spain and Portugal at some of these, the hand beaten copper, and it's great and all, and does a job. It's a little, I'm a bit OCD. I don't want to be buggering about with distillers' paste and stuff to seal up. So we hooked up with a firm in Alabama in the States, Artisan Still Design they're called, and they make amazing stills. They make some very Carl-esque kind of stills.
Cool.
But our still was a little one of two bespoke gin stills they'd made as kind of one-offs. And when we gave them a call, it so happened that they had it ready. So we took a bit of a gamble on it and got it shipped over on a boat from Mobile, Alabama into Glasgow. And then, that's what we've got now. It's a great
very cool,
kit.
yeah. And do you know where the other one is? In like
Canada, I
believe. Okay.
Canada.
So that's quite cool to see. Yeah, it's one of two. That's
and it looks great. It's restricted a little bit. We could probably make whiskey on it and stuff, but it's not designed for that really. But it's a nice bit of kit,
So on that, you said whiskey, but I know you make other products. Tell us about all the products that you do make in the Lundin Distilling range.
Sure. So the Gorse gins are kind of classic London dry gin, so a classic one-shot. Like a one-shot London dry gin. We started with that really, just wanting to make a classic. I mean, I would call it a fairly refined gin. It doesn't have a specific flavour on it. I mean, we called it Gorse gin, but the truth of the matter, there's not a great deal of Gorse in it. The whole idea with the Gorse was that, you know, on a day like today, a nice sunny day in spring in Scotland, and if you walked along the coast, in Fife we've got an amazing coastline, if you walked along there and you've got all the sort of smell of the grasses and the gorse and the sand and the sea that's been heating up all day, and then at night it releases this kind of dry, grassy, fruity, minerally aroma. That's kind of what we were trying to do. Yes, yeah. We've got quite a lot of botanicals in it, and it's quite structured, but it's really about just accentuating gorse without it necessarily tasting of gorse, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because is it 18 botanicals you have in it?
Yeah, about 18. Well, it's really up about 20 because you use a couple of different kinds of orange, a couple of different kinds of juniper.
Yeah, okay, that's right. Yeah, you mix up the juniper.
So it bumps up a little bit. And do you know what? If you probably took little bits and bobs there, it wouldn't make radical differences, but you'd notice the difference a little bit. You know?
Well, it's a very good gin. We can attest to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm drinking. That's what I'm drinking right now.
Negronis, it's really orangey, and so it is awesome in Negronis. That was kind of one of the key goals about me.
So you can drink it yourself.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
And was it just last year? Was it 2019? You came out with your second gin.
The Ripple, and that is just us like creating your pink gin sort of thing, you know. I mean, if there's one massive success story in the last couple of years in the gin game, it's Gordon's kind of pink gin, you know. Those guys smashed it with that. It's not my kind of cup of tea. It's a bit too Robinson's.
Yeah.
So it's cordial for my taste. So what we were trying to do with the Ripple is take real fruit flavours and stick them in a kind of lighter style gin. So the underlying spirit is way light on juniper. You're getting in a shady area, so whether you strictly call it a gin or not, you know. We pump up things like lavender and hibiscus and rose petals, and so you've got a candied kind of spirit at the bottom. Yeah. And then basically we're just taking East Coast berries, which are awesome, you know, Aberdeenshire, Perthshire and Fife. Strawberries and raspberries, we get them pressed and juiced.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And then we chuck them in, and that's kind of it. We add a little syrup just to take the edge off.
Yeah.
And that's it. So you're getting a natural flavour of fruit. That, to be fair, is not everyone's cup of tea, though. Some people want a strawberry drink that tastes like raspberry sweeties.
The thing I liked about your Ripple gin is that although it's I guess you would class it as a contemporary gin, you know, even a flavoured gin to a certain degree, it's still gin.
Yeah,
you know, you still get the taste of the underlying botanicals, but you also get the freshness and the lovely burst of fruit as well, and it's got the ABV as well. So you're
still getting that ethanol kick that I want if I'm having a drink, you know.
Yeah, and I love the bottle as well. It's a very cool. Our one's empty, so but we've shown lots of pictures of it with the goods with the liquid in it. Yeah, but that's very cool. Hats off to your designer, whoever did that. I love that.
Yeah, Tim, Digital Triangle. He's a top guy, so he helped out a lot with that. So
and is it John Glass? Does he?
John Glass does our printing on the gorse and the Ripple. John's absolutely phenomenal.
He's a topper of a guy.
Yeah, and he really supports guys that are our size. You know, he really helps in terms of. He'll print up a ton of bottles, but we won't have to pay for them all. John, I've got an invoice outstanding for John, so if he's on, tell him it's coming.
I'm
sure he will. He'll pop up at some point.
Yeah. And obviously, more recently, you ventured into, I guess, what you would call a traditional Caribbean spirit.
The rum game. Well, rum's a funny one, you know. When you speak to people, and rum's been the next big thing for 20 years or something like that without really doing anything. I like rum. I think it's good. I think with rum is, in particular within Scotland, you don't have to be quite as specific regionally with it.
Yeah.
There's a bigger sort of UK-wide market, possibly a bigger international market in rum.
Yeah.
We played about with making our own. So the way that we make it is we actually import rum from Jamaica and Barbados and Guyana, and we blend it up. So we've got a bespoke Crusoe blend. And the reason for that is we played around with making some rum, and one, it was kind of messy, and two, it just wasn't as good a product as I wanted to do it. We don't sort of have the climate for it, right, in Scotland.
Yeah.
So in Jamaica and stuff, I mean, the way that they make Jamaican rum in particular, they're putting it in big dunder pits, and so you're getting some of that wild yeast into there that's making all those high phenol, banana, lychee, coconutty flavours, and you're getting things that we probably can't replicate here just because of the. Yeah, I mean, you could replicate the temperature, but your carbon footprint would be through the roof.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we love a Mount Gay rum, you know, and that's through Natas Granda. You know,
my grandparents holiday in Barbados every year, so they brought their famous rum punch recipe home, and I gotta love a bit of that.
And Natalie's the only member of our family to be given the recipe.
Yeah, it was reluctantly
from our grandfather. So
I'll try some of this.
Yeah. Oh well, we'll see if you can.
We might have to bottle some.
Well, exactly. We'll do a trade. We'll barter.
Exactly.
So we just take that rum, and then we do the same thing that we do traditionally with the gin. We're taking other botanicals. Some of them cross over from the gin. Some are new, and we're spicing it up effectively to make the cruiser rum. And the vanilla we use is awesome. It gives it real cherry,
nice,
woody backbone to it. It's phenomenal. I love it. I think it's great. A great product when we get out there.
Yeah, and you guys are fantastic at doing cocktails. You're always putting recipes out there.
Your social media feed's always really great with the content you create for your cocktails.
So, which are your favourites? How do you go about doing that? Is that just literally you guys playing about at home? And
yeah, a little bit. I mean, cocktails are great. Cocktails kind of depend on what mood you're in to an extent. Also, what sort of time of year it is, and sort of what events are coming out. If you've got, Paddy's Day or something like that, then you can have a little sort of play around with those kind of themes. But I mean, a massive part of it now is making stuff that looks good for the gram,
Yeah.
Grammable cocktails.
Yeah.
I know, you've got to do it.
Yeah, so you've got to have your garnish or your little sort of accoutrement that sits beside you. So we did an amaretto sour, and I had to get some amaretti biscuits out the back of the cupboard to go with it, and it's stuff like that, But I think when we're doing gin cocktails, anything that revolves around a classic gin sour, you can take off in loads of directions.
Yeah, very true.
So that kind of works, just playing around with different kinds of syrups, making your own syrups. Infusing them with different flavours, you can do tons of stuff. So anything around that seems to work well,
Yeah. And something we were going to touch on was Fife. I think we recently did like a statistics, and Fife have got a fair number of spirits producers now. And I know just obviously because we work with gin makers at the Gin Cooperative. There's a real sense of community in the different regions of Scotland. Do you find that in Fife there? Is there good community spirit there?
I mean, just going beyond the distilling side of things for a bit. I mean, in Fife there's a really strong sort of food and drink thing happening just now. I mean, it's been around for years, but it's really strong just now. Loads of independent producers of good stuff, game producers, seafood, bread, and drinks producers and whatnot as well. It's supported by some really good, retailers that support local and whatnot. They've got like good followings themselves, and all that. There's a real food and drink network here, which is awesome. I'm one of my other jobs. I'm a director from Fife Farmers Market, which is where we started trading way back in 2017. And through that, you get to meet a lot of people that are doing some very cool things. So that's always inspiring when you see other guys thinking in different ways, and you can bring that into what we do as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the whole Scottish gin category sits so well in Scotland's sort of wider food and drink offering. There's a lot of, not only do we have the history and the heritage of distillation, but we've got the quality products as well. So there's absolutely no reason why Scottish gin can't just sit in that portfolio and be supported and build this network of fantastic food and drink producers.
I mean, I think that's right. Scotland is synonymous with quality. I mean, internationally, and the whiskey trade really led the way with that. But it's a byword for kind of luxury, well-made products. And I think by and large, guys that are distilling up in Scotland are meeting those same standards. So fantastic.
Yeah. And so is this downtime? I mean, you touched on you've got a young family of 3 kids, so probably already know the answer to this question. But Is this downtime giving you any chance to experiment, or is that just no? Just
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, it's hard to leave the business entirely, and you can't, kind of thing. It's always there. It's like your fourth little kid running about, you know. But we've got a bit of the kids doing their homeschooling and stuff like that. I'm playing around with the rum a lot more just now. So we've got the first spice rum we've nailed down. We want to do another expression, maybe 2 with that. So we're playing around with that just now. I've been buggering about making bitters, you know.
Nice.
It's like a whole
great.
like you making catapults and showing them off on Twitter. That's what I've been sort of doing, but with making bitters. So I bought all the sort of botanicals to make bitters a while back, and we sort of were put on the back burner. But now we've got a bit of time to play with that. And it's good fun. You can do some stuff with that, you know.
Well, just to let you know, John's just commented, to see he's listening. So.
All right, okay, good. I've got the cash, John.
Well, it's probably quite appropriate. Is there any sort of businesses that have supported you that you want to give a shout out to? That
well, John for starters. I mean, John's been absolutely brilliant through the process. When you've got guys that are sort of as green round the gills, you know, as I was back in 2015, 2016, you don't really know what's going on. I've come from a sort of financey, corporate background, so you think you know your way around bits and bobs, but when you actually get in the booze game, it's a whole different thing. Yeah. Just the process of getting bottles printed and whatnot. So someone like John, who's there to provide all that expertise for free, was phenomenal, you know. So a massive shout out to John. He was brilliant. Jamie at Kimia on the neutral spirit side of things, taking you through that kind of process of that, was phenomenal. Even so, when we started, we weren't, you know, duty suspended and stuff, and he sort of gave us some advice around that process as well, which is phenomenal. Nickel boilers, good guys to know. We got a big, so it's a steam boiler that we use in our still. So it's, you know, it's good and bad. It gives you a bit more flexibility with it, but you suddenly have to then get involved with pressure regulations and things like that.
Yeah, a bit more maintenance.
Yeah, exactly. So those guys have been amazing. It's just like all the guys that help you out. Saberglass with the bottles and stuff. Couple of local, you know, our first local customers. Ardross Farm Shop, we're one of the phenomenal retailers around here that support local. The Railway Inn, our first sort of pub. Speaking to these guys about what they want and price points and things like that, it's all phenomenal stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And sort of lastly, Totalized Media, who are a bunch of guys we've taken on now. They've smashed our social media stuff for us recently, but they're helping us out even more during this period of time, you know, because they're helping us do stuff and not expecting. They're helping us out.
They're being flexible enough to.
Super flexible, and I mean, they've helped us out with all the branding on Cruiso and whatnot, and they've put in so much hard work for that. And then for the business to, on our side, kind of shut down our marketing budget for a little while, or, you know, and have that project halted, it's pretty frustrating for them as well, I imagine.
No, absolutely. So I guess if for those that maybe want to get hold of the gins or any of the rum, the Crusoe, Ripple, Gorse, what's the best way to go about it just now?
This is a bit where you plug your book. Well, we still have the online shop. So we set the online shop up last September. I mean, the first of us really promoting was Christmas time. Totalized Media really helped us get that up, and they've taken that up to the next level. Since we've gone into lockdown, it's bumped up again, you know. So our orders going through that are significantly more than they were, you know, way more than they were, which is the real sort of one of the upsides of everything that's happening.
Gin is an essential item, you see.
Well, yeah, it probably is in my house, in fairness. Which is
a bit tongue in cheek, but I mean, it's.
I know that's the fact that off licenses were put down as kind of essential shops that could steal. Probably says more about our culture than anything else. But it's a part there, and don't get me wrong, you should drink responsibly. You should drink less but better.
Very true.
Which is definitely a trend that seems to be appearing, that people are perhaps a bit more aware of what they're drinking, but they're obviously, you know, looking for good premium products, you know.
Well, we've just had one of our children appear at the door.
That's all right. I was expecting one of mine there.
That's the that's one of the downsides to lockdown is you can't have babysitters when you're doing stuff like this. It's just us. So
I think it's good. It's good. Yeah, and this is exactly. It's like that guy on the BBC when his kid ran through. That was perfect television, you know. So, and separately, we're now actually started a little local delivery service.
That's good. Yeah.
So it's about kind of supporting the local customers that supported us a little bit. So if they want a bottle of gin and they want some mixers, we'll deliver that to their door, kind of thing. Fantastic. There's a bit if you had to go to the supermarket to buy your tonic, you're probably going to pick up a bottle of Gordon's or something.
Well,
so
absolutely, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, definitely. No, that's worthwhile. That seems to be going down quite well. And in fact, I think that's one thing I feel like is coming out of this situation as well, is maybe people are going to have a better appreciation for local producers and local products. And I really hope that carries on post, quarantine sort of thing,
Likewise. I know, we do, we're you'll try and use the local suppliers for things, and it's important, and it's whether that disappears once everything goes back to normal. Supermarkets are so convenient, you can't ever get around that.
Yeah.
But maybe it will have more long-term effects, which would be great.
Yeah.
So,
here's hoping.
Yeah, here's hoping. Exactly.
He's back. So she's gone.
She was needing a hairband put on one of her teddies.
Oh, well,
obviously. Why didn't you do that at bedtime?
Yeah, of course.
But no. So, what are you most looking forward to post lockdown yourself?
Oh, I'm not. This isn't terrible. I miss having a pint, in the pub.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a big I like a pint in the afternoon now. Like on a Saturday afternoon, you can have a couple of beers with your mates or with Roxanne. Even if a beer garden with the kids is okay.
Yeah, because then you can still be bedded by 10 o'clock. It's great.
Exactly.
Afternoon drinking's the way forward.
Yeah, responsibly.
Obviously.
Yeah, of course. But I miss that. So that'll be, and I'm relatively antisocial, but that's what I miss.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. Same. Yeah. It's just all the little things you just take for granted. So, sadly, I'm even thinking about play dates with the kids and all the soft play places we can go to and all the stuff that you hate normally. It's like I'm almost looking forward to it again.
Exactly. And it does show you the things that you probably thought, well, it's a bit of a chore or whatever. It's not. That's kind of the good stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's all the bigger, extraneous crap that we don't need that has hopefully paled into insignificance.
Yeah, well, here's hoping. Yeah, we've learnt a few important lessons for us. Yeah. But no, on that note, I think we've made good time, Iain. I feel like, hopefully everyone that's tuned in has gleaned a few things there and is inspired to go out and, go online and order from yourselves. It comes highly recommended from us as well. So, and just a special thanks from us for supporting us and keep up the good work.
Well, no, likewise, thanks for supporting us. What you guys are doing is amazing. And you take an interest in us, not just not just little businesses. People are important in this whole business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's awesome.
We've always taken the attitude that it's people that make Scottish gin.
Yeah, make it what it is.
As cheesy as that sounds, it's the people and it's the thing. It's the landscapes and the personal experiences that shape them and inspire them to then go create a gin brand and make a gin, or their local area inspires them. So if we can try and capture a bit of that and share that with our audience and. That's what it's all about, I guess, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, we'll keep doing that. But no, thank you for.
It's
gone significantly darker in your back window there since we started. Yeah. So, but no, thanks for giving up your Friday evening. Although now it's not.
It's a pleasure to speak to other people.
Same here.
Yeah.
No, take care.
You take care, Iain. Thanks again for everything. Okay.
Cheers.
Take care. Cheers.